It's
So,
interesting because you watch back Survivor Series '97, and there's a strange vibe over that whole show. Like you watch it
mm,
back, it's easy with hindsight. I remember watching it, staying up late, very
right,
late in the UK, watching that match as a 13-year-old, and being like, this
right,
doesn't feel like the usual show. Like there's something. Obviously,
right.
there was the fact that it was French Canadian, and there was that vibe, but it just felt like there was a real intensity to that show, and it was just chaotic.
Yeah.
I just out of curiosity, because I might never get a chance to ask this again, but ha, I assume you spoke to Earl after the match and after that period. Like how that must have been really hard for him, being kind of
Hey,
caught in the middle.
ah, tremendously hard. I mean, you have a family. If you don't do what you're told by the boss, you don't, how you going to feed your family? You're going to, and how do you know WCW is going to pick up a referee? I mean, is a referee that important to pick up? If, you're not a headliner, you're not a sales ticket guy, you're not selling tickets for the company. So at that point, David and Earl worked for, Um, so there was a lot of stress. I mean, I remember Earl going, or David going, or let's see, no, was it Earl? Um, yes, Earl handed Tony Chimmel the keys of the car before the match and said, "You make sure you give these keys to David." Because I guess he had to get these keys, and he said right away. So I guess he had to get the keys to the car ready to have the car ready for the last match. Because when I was looking out the curtain and Owen was looking behind me, and I'm looking out the curtain, all I hear is ding, 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 and Earl's running through the vom, and he's running outside the arena, headed towards the downstairs where you have to go downstairs and to the car park down there and at
Mm.
that arena in Montreal. So he just got put in a bad situation, man. So and I mean he's got to feed his family. So I actually thought the company would take care of him for the rest of his life with that situation, but that fell out a few years down the road later.
Mm.
Um,
I've spoken to Mark Mero a good few times about, because he
mhm.
was there that night, and asked him
Well,
how
if you
how
talk,
how he
yeah,
felt, and
Taker
he
too, man.
yeah, he said to me like him and Rena, him and Sable just wanted to get out of there as soon as humanly possible,
Yeah.
because of the vibe that everyone was worried that there was going to be riots, and the
Well,
crowd
yeah. I
was going to
mean,
really turn on anyone who was affiliated with the
uh,
WWF.
yeah, it was, because that point, I remember at the end of the show that me and Chimmel got dressed to do the crew, and then Taker's walking, and we were stuck in the locker room. We're up against the door like this, up in the room against like we're up against the wall because we didn't want to be seen and hearing everything. So we seen Taker and his entourage come up to meet with Vince, and they were face to face. And it was just right outside our locker room, where Bret's locker room was two doors down on the left in the corner. And Bret came back out later on, punched Vince. We're fucking stuck in his room. Everything's going down in the hallway, and we're just like, holy shit. And we were stuck in that room until everything cooled down. We got out to the ring. I remember right after when Bret got back, he was kicking every door down in the back, trying to. A lot of them were locked. A lot of them, he was trying to get in, looking for Sean, looking for Vince, I'm sure, or looking for somebody.
Yeah.
He's looking for one of them. And yeah, there was a lot of chaos at the end. There was a lot of turmoil, man. It really sucked because I mean, you got to look at it this way, man. Bret was running the company. He was working hard since 1985 at that point, at least, or been with the company 12 to 15 years and busting his ass, and I mean, and traveling. He was a good family man, good person.
Mm.
Um, it just, I feel bad for him because, then his career went to WCW, didn't really hit it off there too well. And then it kind of ended from there, so it
There
really
were, and
sucked.
there were other options as well. There are many
Yeah.
ways that could have played out. They didn't need to go down like that.
Right. And you know what? It's just like, did I wish my career ended the way it did after 35 years? No. Did I did I like to see Bret end his career the way it ended? No, not at
No.
all. And him and his family and the history of his family with the dungeon goes back to his dad and all that. They put a lot of time into wrestling and a lot of dedication. And
Yeah.
Canadian fans, UK fans, all the European fans are great fans, man, all over the world.
Yeah, well,
And
I've been a Bret Hart guy through and through since '92,
right,
and always will be.
yeah,
And it's interesting. So I had a chance recently on the show to ask Eric Bischoff in a very
yeah,
balanced way
right,
about
right.
his take on the screw job, and then of Bret's run in WCW, and he's got a very different perspective.
Mm,
But I asked that because there are two sides to every coin, and
Right.
everyone's got a different perspective on that situation. I know which camp I fall into and which camp I'll always fall into as a Bret Hart guy. Because
Right.
I think
Well, I mean,
there were so many ways that that scenario could have been avoided,
yeah, I mean,
to for that not to happen. Because it wasn't about dropping a belt; it was dropping a belt to Sean
right.
in
To
Canada
Sean,
that night.
which Sean wouldn't do the job for him not too
Right.
long ago either, in
Yeah.
certain ways, in certain situations.